Bitter criticism. Let's read some. Pepe Escobar Telegram. It's a strange moment in history because there's no we cannot say that the Brics are a real alternative right now. There's some posts on Geopolitics Live on Pepe Escobar Telegram and says, Brics banknote, all big deals began with symbols. Yeah, I hope so. So maybe this is going to be the World War III. Russian President Vladimir Putin was presented with a symbolic Brics banknote at the group's recent summit in Russia's Kazan. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov called the note quasi-money. Quasi-money because he stressed it epitomizes Brics member states' mutual cooperation. Here's what we know about this unique banknote. A total of 1,000 such notes with a nominal value of 100 Brics were printed in the town of Kirshak in Russia's Vladimir region. The bill was made in the run-up to the 2023 Brics Summit in South Africa. The front side of the banknote features the national flags and the most recognizable symbols of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, while its back displays the flags and names of new members, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and UAE, as well as the group's potential partners. All the drawings are handmade. It's beautiful. It's like a bill, 100 something. The Argentinian flag is there too. A total of 1,000 such notes. Arrangement of the flags in a circle of the front side of the banknote symbolizes the idea of equality among Brics member states, Fyodor said, dubbing the note a working sketch and a symbol of an emerging multipolar world. It's a common knowledge that many big deals began with symbols and little things, he noted. Pepe Escobar Telegram, Fyodor, emphasizes that, like typical Russian banknotes, the Brics bill is reliable, protect from counterfeit. Yuri Yermakov, the author of the note's outline, took part in designing more than 10 currencies for various countries. In the 1980s, the artist worked on a portrait of ex-president of Iraq Saddam Hussein for the Iraqi dinners. He also created a portrait of Vietnam's former head of state Ho Chi Minh for the Vietnamese dongs. President Putin previously pointed out that the issue of creating a single Brics currency is not on the table, stressing the importance of treating This is a TREA, treading, not trading. Treading carefully on the matter. Yeah, so there's a currency, a bill. I guess, you know, I guess the real feeling of the real feeling of everybody is kind of delved in some impotence, because mankind history is all about imperialism. So what they are going to do different, I guess there's no options, you know. Or at least it's not so easy. It's not so easy, not so exciting. That's the question. It's not exciting, because in the front of this is just capitalism. I was reading the Russia Today that people like Iran, they opposes Israel, but the UAE do not oppose Israel. So this is just capitalism from the global south. So Brics, Pepe Escobar X2 something, globalsouth.co, October 24, 2024. First, Pepe Escobar talks to Russia Today. This is not published anywhere yet. The pace is so fast that we get it from the cloud storage. So a link for the storage. And that's it. So you have to download it. It's like an interview. Recap of day 2. Yes, the pace was frantic. It was sleeping 3 hours at night max in a Gorbachevian tower with an amazing view. Must have given a zillion ITVWS. Everyone from TASS, Rosilla 1 and Izvetia to Xinhua. TRT. What's that? TRT. I don't remember. TRT. Anyway, Telesur and countless bloggers will write a column for Sputnik only on Monday from Istanbul to let the enormity of it all sink in. And there's another link from globalsouth.co. Why Brazil opposes Venezuela's BRICS membership? Because of imperialism, because Brazil is a imperialist puppet. That's the whole truth. Mission Verdad. Originally published in Spanish by Misión Verdad. MisiónVerdad.com. Globalistan. ¿Por qué Brasil se opone al ingreso de Venezuela en los BRICS? Portuguese version available at Saker Latin America. This Monday, October 21st, it became known that Brazil opposes Venezuela's entry into the BRICS group in the context of the 16th summit of the bloc in the city of Kazan, Russia, an event to which President Nicolás Maduro was invited by the Russian president himself, Vladimir Putin, at the beginning of August. The information was given by the advisor for international affairs of the Brazilian government, former Foreign Minister Celso Amorim. The instruction to veto the possible adhesion of Caracas came from the Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. In Latin America, in addition to Bolivia, Cuba, and Nicaragua, Venezuela, and submitted a formal application to join the Alliance of Emerging Economies. Among all the aspirants, Venezuela is the country that has gathered the greatest consensus for its entry after strengthening its cooperation relations with the most important members of the bloc, mainly Russia and China. Amorim argued that it is not a matter of moral or political judgment. The BRICS have countries that practice certain types of regimes and other types of regimes. The question is whether they have the capacity, due to their political weight and relationship capacity, to contribute to a more peaceful world, he said. The advisor statement has been marked by ambiguity. On the one hand, he points out that the Kazan summit should not have a rigid rule for integrating future partners, since, in his opinion, it should be open to states that promote development and changes in global governance. But at the same time, he publicly announced that he does not support Venezuela's accession. However, this stance is in line with the increasingly hostile attitude that Lula's government has maintained against Venezuela in recent months, after it did not recognize the results of the 28 J elections, in which President Nicolás Maduro was re-elected. Although at first Brazil tried to move within a framework of relative neutrality, seeking to set itself up as a mediator in the post-electoral conflict, it has progressively become aligned with the position of Washington and Brussels, which openly recognized Edmundo González as the supposed winner of the day. Causes and motives. The first thing to highlight is that last year Lula himself was open to the expansion of BRICS and the inclusion of Venezuela. Amorim's statement in such sense represents an aggressive change of position that deteriorates the Caracas-Brazilian bond. Quote, I am in favor of Venezuela's integration into the BRICS. We are going to meet soon, and we have to evaluate several integration requests, unquote, said Lula in May, and added that, quote, the new geopolitics is characterized by two elements: unity of our America and diversity, and the role of the BRICS, which is emerging as the great magnet for countries that want cooperation. It should be recalled that also last year, Brazil pushed for Argentina's entry into the instance, but once Javier Milei took office, it terminated the application for membership in the bloc. I guess they are saying about Milei himself, not Brazil, understand? Milei terminated. This is very tricky, you know. I will read about it because it's very specific what I know. Milei, it happens the same thing in Brazil and Argentina. The far right, the right, the status quo likes business, business with China, the money China can pose, the money that China can, I don't remember now, how to say, invest, yeah. They like the money, the business with China, but they don't like communism. Understand? They don't like China's policies, China's politics. Unfortunately, so I guess Milei went back and is trying to go to sign with BRICS anyway. Yeah, so Argentina's situation is very special, it's very tricky. From a strategic point of view, Brazil is interested in maintaining its place as the only Latin American member of the BRICS, as a position with which it avoids geopolitical counterweights and at the same time protects its monopoly over the conduct of regional affairs vis-a-vis the rest of the powers of the bloc. In fact, the proposal to include Argentina was based on the premise that Brasilia will manage the timing and scope of Buenos Aires' accession and position it as the little brother of the Brazilian giant within the alliance. But different logics and tensions operate with Venezuela. Within geopolitical conception of Planalto and Itamaraty, Venezuela's participation in the Brics will shift too much the geopolitical axis of the region and the bloc towards multipolarity due to the strengthening of ties with Russia and China. This will weaken Lula and Amorim's approach to preserve Brazil's strategic ties with Washington and Brussels, while safeguarding economic ties with the Brics. Yeah, so Brazil situation sucks. Brazil situation is very... I'm talking about the Labour PT Party, Partido dos Trabalhadores, which is Labour. This situation is very unstable, you know? This is very unstable. You cannot, I guess, you can no longer be this Euro and American partner forever, you know? At some point, Brazil could be peace, could be the key for the peace in the world, but also all these contradictions will make Brazilian people suffer, in my opinion, because of imperialism. So there will be a great business for Venezuela, because analyze this: China, Russia, Iran, they have a very distant relation with the US. Maybe China is more like Brazil, but Venezuela definitely should be in this bloc for the good of Venezuelan people, for the good of business and the evolution of multipolarity. Yeah, so this article is nice. In this sense, Venezuela could become an uncomfortable ally within the group, which could not be controlled like Argentina, and which will promote a strengthening of multipolarity against the grain of Brazilian foreign policy, marked by emphasizing ties with the West. The existential conflict between Caracas and Washington, which could deepen after the US presidential elections in November, will imply that Brazil will have to support its Venezuelan partner in the Brics in opposition to Washington. Being both within the group, Brazil will be obliged to sustain an active political and economic relationship with Venezuela, and thus challenge the illegal sanctions and the narrative of disregard for the presidency of Nicolás Maduro driven from the White House and the State Department. Lula and Amorim have read these eventual dilemmas and have therefore decided to oppose the incorporation of Venezuela with a view of reducing any political costs involved in twisting or complicating the relationship with the US. With such a position, the Brazilian president and his main advisor on international matters exposed that their vision is more Eurocentric than multipolar, and that the Brics are an instrument for economic purposes rather than geopolitical bet determined to build a new global order, a horizon towards which Venezuela is heading and which it actively promotes. This clash of visions and the non-alignment and the non-negotiable points of Brazilian foreign policy with the United States explain the latest Brazilian grievance against Venezuela. I guess it's kind of is even more interesting. Brazil or Venezuela. Venezuela is saying that it's too radical, it's too leftist, it's too revolutionary. The question is, the Venezuelan history is a succession of imperialism abuse. And well, that's it. So I guess, and there's no option for Venezuela. I don't remember the name of Maduro lose the grip of power. If that happens, I guess if that happens, Venezuela will be a neoliberal country again. So Latin America is super hard to say, you know. And well, even Brazil, Lula, for example, Labor Party in Brazil is very, everybody says that, everybody knows this. They are very neoliberal right now, you know, right now. After the Michel Temer and Bolsonaro, after the right-wing governments, 6 years of far right in Brazil, and even the previous Labour Party in Brazil, it's just like the Labour Party in the UK, you know. It's too neoliberal, it's not leftist, or maybe, who knows, if it's just imperialist pressure, you know. It's all about imperialist pressure. The left cannot do whatever they want. Almost they can do nothing, you know. The Brazil, UK Labour Party, they can do nothing. And that's it. So the Brics could be a normal economic alliance, but this economy is always intertwined with geopolitics and military conflicts. So I will keep reading Pepe Escobar Telegram. Kassam makes history. This is how the new world is being born. Brics outreach session. Putin opens and hands the floor to the leaders and heads of delegations of 24 nations, most at the highest level, plus the UN Secretary General. Quite a few speeches are nothing short of epic. This is Bandung 1955 on mega steroids. The session lasted 3 hours 25 minutes. It will be circulating all across the global majority for weeks, months, and years. So I guess it's just what I said. Brazil is controlled by the US, you know. Venezuela is not controlled by the US. Maybe, my opinion, right here from Chile, Brics is nice. Brics is nice. Brics is like a UN, you know, is a United Nations. Brics is like a United Nations try to develop, to maintain the peace, you know, to avoid a World War III. Yeah, sounds like that, you know. Sounds like China is trying to avoid war. or maybe building. China's trying to build. China and Russia, they are trying to build a new UN. So a new UN, but they are not putting all the. Yeah, I guess the Shanghai cooperation is better. The Asian, or I don't remember now. So yeah, Pepe Escobar is criticizing Brazil, saying destroying Brazilian stupidity, part 2, showing a communique from Venezuela. Venezuela destroying Brazilian stupidity, the official communique, page 1. I'm going to read the communique. The Venezuelan Bolivarian Republic thanks the Russian President Vladimir Putin and his government and the heroic Russian people for the invitation to our President Nicolás Maduro to participate in the Brics Plus meeting in Kazan, the Brics Summit. Venezuela possesses not only the biggest energy of the world, but also the, I don't know standarte, but also the principles, the values, the principles and the vision to build a fair world, multicentric, multipolar. Venezuela has the back and the support of the participant countries in this summit for the formalization. Well, basically we're saying is that, and then Brazil, through the action that the contradictory action of nature, and the postulation of Brics, the representation of the Chancellor, Brazilian Chancellor Itamaraty. I start to translate. Eduardo Paes Saboia. Who is this guy? Eduardo Paes. Sounds, but I guess there are two, because Brazilian major. It calls Eduardo Paes too. So there's two Eduardo Paes in Brazil. So what is plain is Bolsonaro vetoed the Venezuelan internship, and that's it. They are blaming Jair Bolsonaro. But you know, as I was saying, there's a lot of pressure to Brazil, to Lula. Too much pressure. You know, the most important thing by this time, I guess, is the ASEAN, the other, because Brics is already controlled by the US, I guess. Definitely. So I'm going to leave Pepe Escobar Telegram, and I'm going to see. I'm going to try to finding CGTN something about Shanghai cooperation. Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to find too. There's a news from October 16. The SEO, yeah, the SEO. The name is SEO. So I guess the SEO is more important, you know. If I have to bet on future, I guess SEO. And it's hard to find informations in the Explorer too. So I'm going to Russia Today. Russia Today is better. Russia Today Explorer is better. The CGTN is not so great. what about SCO? So forget about Brics. Yeah, unfortunately, I tried to find some SCO, and there's a news about Brics too. October 24, 2024, which means 2 days ago. New centers of power, sovereignty, sovereign equality, and Western coercion. What's in the Brics Kazan Declaration? What is in this declaration? The document outlines the group's vision for global governance, economic development, and international cooperation. We have a photograph. Russian President Vladimir Putin at an expanded meeting of Brics leaders in Kazan, Russia, October 23. The Brics nations approved a joint communique on Wednesday during the group's 3-day summit in the Russian city of Kazan. The document addresses multiple global crises and challenges and calls for a fairer and more just international order. So I'm going to read the first one at least because the SCO is there. New centers of power. The group reaffirmed its commitment to promoting a multipolar world order where all nations have an equal say in global affairs. This is reflected in their declaration's call for greater representation of emerging and developing countries in international institutions. Quote, we know the emergence of new centers of power, policy decision making, and economic growth, which can pave the way for a more equitable, just, democratic, and balanced multipolar world order, the document stated, adding that this system will be more beneficial to developing countries than the current Western-led international order. The Brics countries welcome the growing influence of regional organizations such as the African Union and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Those organizations are better, yeah. The Brics is controlled by the US by now. These organizations are viewed as important platform for promoting economic cooperation, security, and cultural exchange among their member states. The declaration also called for a strengthened World Trade Organization to resolve trade disputes and an expanded UN Security Council to provide greater representation for the Global South. 2. Sovereign equality and new Brics members and new Brics partners. The group emphasized that all countries have the right to pursue their own development paths and make decisions about their internal affairs without interference from other states. Quote, we reaffirm our commitment to the Brics spirit of mutual respect and understanding, sovereign equality, solidarity, democracy, openness, inclusiveness, collaboration, and consensus, the group wrote. The group noted the considerable interest expressed by countries in the Global South to work with, if not join the bloc, and thus endorse the modalities for a new Brics partner country category. Quote, we strongly believe that extending the Brics partnership with EMDC's emerging market and developing countries will further contribute to strengthening the spirit of solidarity and true international cooperation for the benefit of all, it stated. The current Brics members are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi Arabia has yet to ratify its membership invitation, with nearly 3 dozen countries expressing interest in joining the economic bloc. Moscow considers establishing a BRICS partner category, the best option for potential expansion. 3. Opposing Western coercive measures. The declaration condemns all sanctions and unilateral coercive measures as incompatible with international law, highlighting their far-reaching implications for human rights. Quote, "We are deeply concerned about the disruptive effects of unlawful unilateral coercive measures, including illegal sanctions, on the world economy, international trade, and the achievement of sustainable development goals." Quote, the declaration states, noting that economic sanctions disproportionately affect the poor and vulnerable in targeted countries. The group also condemns unilateral measures introduced under the pretext of climate and environmental concerns and opposes unilateral protectionist measures that deliberately disrupt global supply and production chains and distort competition. Acknowledging the role of BRICS members as the world's largest producers of natural resources, we underscore the importance of strengthening cooperation among BRICS members across the entire value chain and agreed to take joint actions to oppose unilateral protectionist measures, the group declared. Yeah, so I guess I'm going to leave this here, and I'm going to talk to you Brazil. Why Brazil is a Troy horse? Why Brazil is being so bad for the BRICS? Because Brazilian politics is going right again, you know. There's just too many, as far as I remember, 6 years ago, and it looks like nothing changed. There's too much crime. You know, the far right is trying to fight all this crime wave just by guns, you know, by killing criminals. So it's a stupid policy, I guess, because there could be a civil war, or maybe just poverty, you know. There will be more crime and more violence. So Brazilian politics is going to the right, understand? It's going to the United States influence again. So what Bolsonaro did, they will keep doing. That's the whole truth. China is not so powerful as United States in Brazil. That's the whole truth about all the conflict. I will read some topic here. The Middle East. The BRICS declaration highlights the importance of promoting global security through diplomacy, mediation, and inclusive dialogue, while acknowledging the need to respect the legitimate and reasonable security and security concerns of all countries. The group stressed the need to engage in conflict prevention efforts, including through addressing their root causes. We reiterate, quote, "We reiterate our grave concerns and the deterioration of the situation and humanitarian crisis in the occupied Palestinian territory. In particular, the unprecedented escalation of violence in the Gaza Strip and in West Bank as a result of the Israeli military offensive." The declaration reads, noting that the Israeli operation has, quote, led to mass killing and injury of civilians, forced displacement, and widespread destruction of civilian infrastructure, unquote. It calls on Hamas to immediately release its Israeli hostages and Israel to immediately halt military operations and withdraw from Gaza. Israel's bombing and ground invasion of Lebanon are also condemned, while its sabotage of thousands of Hezbollah communications devices in September is described as a terrorist attack. The document condemns the illegal foreign military presence in Syria, a reference to the roughly 800 US troops still in the country against Damascus' wishes, and denounces Israel's bombing of an Iranian consulate in the Iranian capital, which killed Iranian Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Sahedi and 8 other Iranian military officers. Yeah, I guess the Brics is just a new UN, United Nations, and it's being just like general, and I don't know what to say. Well, I have a podcast right here. I'm going to do my yoga. This is a podcast from One Dime Radio. Latin America and the Brics.
The truthful rage that was accumulated because of the disaster of the left in Argentina. And they were able to channel that into a libertarian, anarcho-capitalist project. They're privatizing the Argentinian airlines. Today, there's a big manifestation in Argentina because they want to close public universities.
No, I have an emergency here. My boy, the Lanus Leucurus is there again. So pretty cool image, isn't it? I was recording ourselves. Again, yeah. Can you see this is the most perfect image I got? How the Lanus Leucurus stops in the air, just like that. Look, absolutely stop. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely hanging, absolutely steady in the air. This is the Lanus Leucurus TV. I have a channel I made because I was high. So I did this Lanus Leucurus TV channel. And there goes our boy. So just more 3 minutes for doing yoga, I guess. No, I guess I will comment the Brazilian politics. That's the Latin American politics are going very, very in a strange way. People in Latin American people they admire Chile because of no reason at all. I've been living in Brazil. I know that Brazilian people they Brazilian people, I know that Brazilian people admire something they saw on TV, some TV channel about Chile. Chile supposedly is a good place to live. I guarantee you it's not, it's impossible. There's no way, you know, no way that for be real. People is just poor here, poor. And what else? People have no what? Chilean people, they don't have oh, I forgot the word in English. Perspectives, yeah. They don't have perspectives. I guess so. And Brazilian people, they have a lot of crime in Brazil, and they believe liberalism should be better. So it's very, very tricky, very, very tricky. So Brazil is going right again. Lula almost lost the election, you know, and that's just the reality. And China and Russia, people don't know how China. That's another fact. Nobody knows in Brazil and global South, Chile, everywhere. Nobody knows how China is cool, how good China is doing. So we have very great communication problems. It's all about communication, I guess.